Checks are being sent out very soon. Now millions of Americans are getting a check if they file their tax returns before the big tax break in the American Rescue Plan. Now, boosted Social Security benefits are also going to be sent out very soon, so you want to keep on watching this video to find out the latest news about that. But so far, the new year is here, and the Social Security Administration will soon be sending out Social Security payments for January 2022. These payments will include the 5.9% COLA for Social Security and SSI beneficiaries. Plus, beginning today, Social Security claimants can expect a number of changes to their benefits. In fact, Social Security benefits currently support 70 million Americans, whether they are elderly or disabled, and nearly 9 out of 10 individuals ages 65 and older receive the benefits, and they make up around 33% of the income of the elderly. Now guys, the 5.9% increase is actually the highest that's ever been in several years. This is the largest COLA rise since 1982, when recipients received a 7.4% COLA. In announcing the COLA in October, the SSA said the average retiree will see a monthly increase in their payment of $92 a month, now bringing the average check amount to around $1,700. And a typical couple would see their benefits jump from $154 to $2,754. But the SSA has since released a calendar showing when the roughly 70 million beneficiaries can expect to receive their payments starting this month. And for those with a birth date between the 1st and 10th of the month, they can expect their payments on the 2nd Wednesday of this month. That's good news for everybody. So while the Social Security payment amount increase will no doubt provide relief to many recipients, it might not cover the rising costs that seniors truly face as inflation continues to rise for everything from consumer goods to gasoline to even housing. Now a typical couple would see their benefits jump from $154 to around $2,700. And so the SSA did release a calendar. Now, while the Social Security payment amount increase will no doubt provide relief to many recipients, it might not cover the rising costs that seniors truly face, as inflation continues to rise for everything from consumer goods to gasoline. One rising cost that seniors actually face in the new year is that Medicare's Part B monthly premium is actually set to rise by 14.5% by a dollar amount of $21.60. And according to AARP, that is the largest dollar increase in the health insurance's program's history. So while the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has emphasized that Social Security COLA will cover that cost, the increased Medicare premium eats a serious chunk out of the $92 boost in Social Security for the average recipient. Now while the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has emphasized that the Social Security COLA will actually cover that cost, the increased Medicare premium eats a serious chunk out of the $92 boost in Social Security for the average recipient. Meanwhile, everybody, the national debt sits at around $29 trillion, and the federal deficit is at roughly $3 trillion for fiscal year 2021. But households who are waiting for unemployment tax refunds can check the status of the payment. Millions of people are getting a payout if they file their tax returns before the big tax break in the American Rescue Plan became law. Now, the American Rescue Plan Act was signed back on March 11th and included a $10,200 tax exemption for 2020 unemployment benefits. The exemption, which applied to federal taxes, meant that unemployment checks sent during the crisis were not counted as earned income. But because the change happened after some people filed their taxes, IRS is issuing refunds for overpayments or may use it to pay other taxes owed. Now, it's important to note that the $10,200 figure is the amount taxpayers can exclude from their earnings, not the amount of the refund. The latter will vary between households depending on the overall income, your tax bracket, and how much of your earnings came from the benefits.
Half a day. Nearly all the damage, many families having minutes to get whatever they could, their pets, their kids into the car and leave. The last 24 hours have been devastating. It's really unimaginable. It's hard to speak about. Like many Boulder County residents, I have texts and voicemails from friends letting me know whether they're safe or not, what they've lost. I also spoke to the president just before this press conference. The president called. He offered his support for the people of Colorado. They also gave verbal authorization. The president approved the expedited major disaster declaration, and that'll be finalized and papered in the next couple hours. What that means is it allows those who suffer loss, small businesses and homeowners, they won't have to wait for the preliminary damage assessment for housing and small business assistance. So that will be forthcoming very soon because of this disaster and the actions that the president took. And the president sends his regards to the people of Colorado and those who are directly impacted. This hit close to home for so many of us, literally in some cases for those of us who live nearby, but also in terms of this being a fire that wasn't a wildfire in the forest, it was a suburban and urban fire. The Costco we all shop at, the Target we buy our kids' clothes at, all surrounded, damaged. Nearly 1,000 homes in two very tight-knit, beautiful communities that our state has are gone. And you know, we talk about houses destroyed, but each house is not just a house, it's a home. It's a sanctuary of comfort for those who live there. It's a reservoir of memories where families were raised. You know, it feels like we've experienced enough loss and tragedy these last 2 years, and then yesterday happened over the course of several hours. This is our community, and to watch it burn so quickly, so unexpectedly, is something that I think we're all just struggling to believe and understand. So different than fires that over a period of weeks and months develop. This played out with 105-mile winds over the course of half a day. We are going to work hard with families and small businesses to rebuild our treasured communities, homes and sanctuaries for folks, the short-term impact for housing needs. So far, it looks like the two major hospitals in the areas were spared. Looks like schools were spared. And we might have our very own New Year's miracle on our hands if it holds up that there was no loss of life. We know that many people had just minutes to evacuate, and if that was successfully pulled off by all the affected families, that's really quite a testimony to preparedness and emergency response. I also spoke to the FEMA administrator this morning and let her know that that with this expedited major disaster declaration, we're going to need all the help we can get. She asked other ways it could help. We talked about short-term housing needs. We talked about additional needs for hospital capacity because of the hospital, Avista, that will be, while not destroyed, out of commission for a period of days or weeks. It's uncertain when that'll be back at 100% capacity. You know, Mr. Rogers once told his audience, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You'll always find people who are helping." And time again, we see those helpers here in Colorado. Sheriff Pelly, his deputies, Director Stan Hilke, National Guard, hundreds of brave firefighters from municipal fire departments across the Denver metro region, law enforcement, first responders. Many of these brave men and women themselves lost homes or were uncertain whether they